Hi, good evening or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian McCarthy. I'm a 2021 scholar and I'm the founder of Cork Rooftop Farm, a multi-enterprise farm based in the heart of and peri-urban surroundings of Cork City. We grow a wide selection of seasonal vegetables in our market garden. We have a rooftop growing salad leaves, herbs and microgreens, and also we have our pasture poultry as well. Here you can see our aeroponic tower farm on the rooftop farm in Cork City itself. My study topic was to research a framework for urban agriculture and to collate information from around the globe about the different enterprises that can be implemented in an urban context. So what is urban agriculture? Urban agriculture is the practice of cultivating, processing, and distributing food in or around an urban area, such as a town or a city. So, what are the threats or opportunities which urban agriculture can help to address? So, the many dairy and beef farmers in the state, I think you can safely say that rooftop farming won't be causing you any threats in the near future. So, as I mentioned, in Ireland nowadays, there is 63% of people living in urban areas. It is these people living in these urban areas that have been going increasingly disenfranchised from rural producers. And it's those people which I feel that urban agriculture can have a profoundly positive impact on. It is down to government and local city councils, however, to give policy that will guide and incentivise urban agriculture. In my own context, Cork City Council is the only city council in the country with a dedicated policy regarding zoning, planning and incentives for urban ag. This was instrumental in us applying for our expansion plans for the coming year to have a guide and a blueprint to work with. So who is going to start these new urban farms and work on them? With the lack of new entrants into farming and the growing consolidation of farms across the developed world, there is a lack of new entrants. I believe that urban agriculture can usher in a new wave of entrants into farming. There is an untapped demographic of people who are highly educated, motivated and passionate about agriculture, but do not have, for example, a vast experience in agriculture. They make up for these deficiencies with great passion, hard work ethic and intelligence. And I've seen this firsthand on our own farm. It's a very exciting prospect for somebody to enjoy rural or urban conveniences while farming in a city. Shockingly, there's 320,000 tonnes of organic waste which went into landfill last year. This at a time when peat has been banned for commercial harvesting, is a huge opportunity for the horticulture sector. Whilst on my GFP in June, I visited a farm in Kansas City called Herbivore Farm. They have a 15-acre farm based in the suburbs of Kansas City, and they've recently purchased a municipal compost company. Their farm is based on no-till, which means they use compost as a mulch layer to protect and feed their soil, a large outlay for them every year. Since purchasing the municipality, they are collecting organic waste from 2,000 households around their area, creating compost and providing an additional farm income stream whilst eradicating the outlay for compost on a yearly basis, something which could surely be widely adapted in an Irish context. So a topic we've been discussing widely today, food security and global supply chain fragility, never more prevalent at a time when the equitable distribution of food has never been so challenging. I believe that urban agriculture can contribute meaningfully to both shortening the supply chain and increasing self-sufficiency. Whilst on my GFP, I travelled to Singapore, a country which is by and large, completely urbanised. Only 1% of its landmass is used for urban or for agricultural production, and they import 95% of their food. This alarm bell rang for the government in the last number of years, and they devised the initiative 30 by 30, whereby Singapore will produce 30% of its nutritional requirements by the year 2030. And how are they doing this? They're doing this through incentives and grant schemes focusing on aquaculture, indoor horticulture, and egg production. They're also developing an agri-development zone focused on ag tech in a large area of their city. A lot to do, but their government is pushing them forward in the right direction. Social inequality and agri-education in disadvantaged areas. So unfortunately, it's those who grow up in socially disadvantaged areas who often have to fall foul of poor health, or falling foul of the law, or poor job prospects. This image here is of Michigan Urban Farming Initiative in Detroit. Detroit is seen as a flagship city in the US with 1,400 urban farms having sprung up in the past 10 years. This plot itself used to be a vacant concrete 3-acre site. The local community took it back, developed it into a 3-acre plot. It's now run by locals, feeding locals, and it's now a beautiful, productive site in what was a derelict area. Biodiversity loss and green space eradication, unfortunately, is a reality of urbanisation. Also, the urban heat sink effect. Cities are obviously masses of concrete and asphalt. This soaks up the heat during the day and during the summers, and often cities are a degree or two warmer than rural areas. This, due to the increased heat of summers going forward, has been compounded. In the city of Paris, this microclimatic phenomenon has been extremely prevalent, and they realise this. And in 2016, they set up the Paris Culture Initiative, whereby the city council identified 100 hectares of city-owned lands and plots on rooftops and spaces that could be used for urban agriculture to mitigate these changes and to create green spaces for production. This photo here is of the largest rooftop farm in the world. It is Nature Urban, 10,000 square metres of production on top of an expedition centre right in the heart of the city, producing 900 kilograms of food daily for people in and around the farm. So creating a culture of food production in cities leads to a more resilient rural and agricultural economy. So by having places of urban production, you're incentivizing and making it more advantageous for people to support local production. This is never more visible than in the example of Havana in Cuba, where they produce 60% of their food needs within the city limits. They're also producing 90% of their vegetables and fruit needs from 85,000 acres on the outskirts of the city. For a city of a population of 2 million, that's an incredibly impressive feat and something that should be looked to for the future, but is not attained by ag tech advancements. It is done through local support. So what are my recommendations? From my own perspectives, all buildings used for primary production in urban areas should be exempt from city rates. It's something I had very strong conversations with the Cork City Council about, trying to steer them away from zoning my own farm as commercial. It's a big barrier to entry, and it wouldn't happen on a greenfield site in the countryside, so it shouldn't happen on a concrete structure in the city. Thankfully, through the conversation and the policies that were in the City Council, we were able to make this a more formalised policy for Cork City. Food retailers sourcing 70% or more of their unprocessed or minimally processed foods locally should also be exempt from city rates. There's too much of an incentive to go to the cheapest option for food production. If the retailer has an economic imperative from another aspect, then the producer doesn't need to lower its prices, but the retailer can still benefit economically by supporting local. I think this would shift a lot of production towards, or support towards local producers. A dedicated European fund to support urban ag should be set up, but it should not come from the existing CAP pool of funding to support rural farmers. This should be ring-fenced for urban agriculture. A representative body should be set up not only to bring a voice to urban farmers' interests, but also to develop urban agriculture in Ireland and draw the links closer to rural agriculture as well. Neither the Food Vision 2030 nor the DAFM action plans contained any mention of urban agriculture. I believe that ambitious strategic goals need to be added to the next iterations of both documents, and it's a key thing that needs to happen going forward. An urban agriculture innovation hub should be set up in one of the major cities, facilitating collaboration between private industry, academic institutions and primary producers, allowing as an incubator hub for future urban agricultural enterprises. And finally, I believe it should be mandated that city councils should reduce levels of organic waste in landfills to near zero levels. Urban farms can facilitate in the collection and production of compost as a result of this mandate. So I'd like to thank the Nuffield board for their support in navigating us through the COVID times, to all the people who helped me in my family, my friends, to Ger Buckley for introducing me to Nuffield, and to my fellow scholars. Thank you very much.